I've always approached my financial career with a sense of entrepreneurship. I always applied this different way of thinking from the norm of Wall Street. And I've been blessed to actually been trained in Wall Street. And I've always tried to look at something different or solve a problem in a different way. And fortunately, it's been very successful. So this idea of always looking for creative angles and how to solve problems in a different way, testing frameworks, is what I bring to this new venture. This creative, out of the box, how can I solve a problem and how can that problem be solved efficiently? So I think drawing from that experience has benefited Blingby. It wasn't a plunge. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, it's part of who you are. It's not like putting a hat on. So as an entrepreneur, in everything I do, what is that? That is a balance between art and science. It's about innovation and risk-taking. And hopefully you bring it together and you make it profitable. So that aspect hasn't changed. It's just that the attentions are now more towards the marketing and advertising realm, which is Blingby. The concept of being an entrepreneur is consistent. Therefore, the process of being an innovator is consistent. The process of being one that knows how to execute on businesses successfully is the same. So it wasn't about being a plunge. It's just a new chapter. I'm actually happy you asked that question because it actually isn't. Before I went to Wall Street, I was in fashion. I was in film, so I've done some movies. I was a model, so I lived in the fashion world for a minute, and I've done some TV and some radio. So it's actually not that very different. The only other thing is that I took a pause, went to Wall Street, had a great training ground of learning how to deal with risk, learning how to deal with stress, learning how to deal with actually understanding companies, bringing companies to market, understanding how to manage stakeholders, all of the things you need to do and know to be a good entrepreneur, right? The world is full of good ideas. Not everyone executes on them. So if anything, Blingby brings me back to closes the circle. So I just think it's a natural segue. Quite simply, we're a paradigm shift in product placement and messaging. That's it. That's what it is. Well, I'm actually blessed because my co-founder and friend is Robert Stanich, and he actually went to Oxford with me. And the other key person in our team, Michelle Francis, was a very dear friend, a contemporary artist on her own right, in a museum, in fact. So she's responsible for the visual content of what you see. Seth Meyer, also a very valuable player in the team, knows what it is to be a signed artist with a label, understands the music business as well. We've got an amazing team in London for our PR that lives in the music space and fashion space. So they lend a lot to the team. And it was amazing that everyone came together to really execute on Blingby. And they all bring different strains, but more importantly, they all bring the same vision. So when I created the vision for Blingby and I invited people to come and join me, it was all with enthusiasm, with complementary strains. We lever from each other. So in that way, it was not difficult. It's not that it's easy. I mean, I think leadership is important. Belief in your leader is very important. And I'm blessed that that's how my team sees it, and our early investors. So I think that, and Rob brings a lot of entrepreneurship as well experience, and also in the tech world. So I think that everything came together with the right vision. Leadership and vision are the most important. Once you can give that, people will join and they'll add value day one. Because as we're redefining what it means to advertise and market, not just in fashion, even in politics. Blingby is applicable to any and every industry. So if you want to be part of the revolution of marketing and advertising that has a longevity to it, because we've constructed Blingby to be good for people on a B2B basis or even in engaging users directly. We are able to engage users. Forget about this completion rates of 100. We already get that. We had to redefine a matrice that says user engagement, because people linger on our page, they interact. Our completion rates, based on how we define them, are over 90%. So if you want to be part of that, a new technology that brings the upper and lower funnel together and is applicable through all industries and engages people continuously through a continual discovery, then you want to be part of BlingBy. No, I think it could be tough, but I think it could be tough for many different, geographies, demographics, and etc., not just women. I think that it's a great question, and I think that it's a question that you have to answer with experience. When you have the experience that I've had in different industries, and you absorb that experience, you learn how to deal with people. And I think that when you do have obstacles based on whatever it is, even being a woman, but again, there are many other issues out there, I think the way you manage people and manage the situation ends up turning that initial obstacle into a positive, constructive experience. Well, I think part of being a mother is being a very good multitasker. And so I think that's very important. But that's also a trait of a good leader and a good manager. To be fair, it's really about how you look at life. I don't look at being a mother as a chore, as something that's stressful. Although I do have a teenager, so there are pockets of stress. But overall, it's not a stressful job. It's not a job. Being part of BlingBy, being the visionary behind BlingBy, is not a job. Traveling for the boards that I sit that actually help in better understanding of how other companies are running in governance is not necessarily a job. A job is how you look at things. I love what I do. So that de-risks and de-stresses a lot. Besides that, the family credo is to be very healthy and to focus on mental health and physical health. And I think balancing this idea that you love what you do, you love where you are, that de-risks a lot. And quite frankly, coming from the stressful world of, remember, not only was I an investment banker, but I was a portfolio manager. I ran risk. So you learn to cope, you learn to be steady, and you learn to execute under all sorts of pressure. It's never an excuse. I'm really into what's happening in the virtual reality, the virtual world, I call it, because as technology evolves, you have to redefine these narrow, thematic, comfort level sentences. So I call it the virtual world. I think BlingBy is going to be part of that. I'm really excited about what's being developed in artificial intelligence. We're going to be part of that. Even augmented reality. We are very much participatory, and with our relationship with Kiwi, in fact, we're going to augment that platform potential. And so we're keeping a watchful eye. And the way BlingBy was conceived, the vision and the architecture, we're able to bolt on all these new exciting technologies into our offer. And so, so there's a lot that's out there. And BlingBy was always designed to evolve, never to be stale. So I'm very keen on the latest stages of development and technology. I think that my advice would be the following. Be careful who you listen to. Because when I started and I explained my vision, people could not understand how a woman who didn't come formally from the tech world could come up with the BlingBy vision. And then when my partner and I, Rob, actually executed on it and launched it, they just couldn't understand how we did it in such speed. So I think the world, as I said, is full of great ideas, but you got to believe in yourself to execute. You also have to know what experience you have and that you don't have, and bring that experience in. That's called execution. That's called leadership. So I would give my advice that believe in your idea, know when you don't have that experience and bolt it in. Make sure you create an environment where your leadership and your management enhances people's value, and then control your narrative and your messaging. Thank you so much, Jerry.